Women of the media, thank you very much for taking time to be with us today. I know that you have a very busy schedule, but I therefore value your time. I call this press briefing to provide some insights and clarity on the current developments and uncertainty surrounding the monarch. I have served the monarchy all my life as a member of the Zulu royal family. As a prince, I take pride in our family, the crown, the Zulu nation as a whole, and I pride myself in the work that I've done in the service of the Zulu nation. However, a person with conscience, a person who loves his nation and his people, and a person who has dedicated his life to the stability of the Zulu monarchy. It is my duty to provide some clarity and to sound the alarm bell, as the very stability of the Zulu nation is now under threat and under siege. I want to start off by saying that I remain a loyal subject of His Majesty, King Misuzulu, regardless of any circumstances. I will continue to serve him and protect him, whether I act as his spokesperson or not. Was never a position I was paid for or something I did for monetary value or personal gain. Therefore, parting with this position is not something that pains me. What has pained me, though, is to see the capture of the crown deepening. The process has now been afoot for several months. Even before the passing of our late traditional Prime Minister, our beloved, His Royal Highness Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, the former Member of Parliament, may his soul rest in peace. This week, we saw the unprecedented move by the new traditional Prime Minister to fire me and Inkosi Thanduyise Mzimela, the chairperson of Ingonyama Trust. I will now outline in detail as to why this was done. The appointment of the traditional Prime Minister was definitely for sinister reasons. Surprisingly, the appointment was also done before the unveiling ceremony of the late traditional Prime Minister, His Royal Highness Prince Mangosuthu of Papindangeni, has been completed by his own family. And while it is correct that His Majesty the King has the sole prerogative to appoint a traditional Prime Minister, it goes without saying that considering the challenges His Majesty has faced in the past in terms of unity within within the royal family, it will have been wise to consult widely with the family, as a person he appointed is not only a politician, but a person with a dubious track record. The incumbent crooked track record, which include having been accused of several misconduct, such as corruption, rape, no doubt brought great shame upon the Zulu nation. Police are investigating a case of sexual harassment against incumbent. Case number 255/12/2023, opened at Ulundi Station. There is a protection order in relation to sexual harassment against the incumbent, case number 376 stroke 12, 2023, which was opened at Fayette Police Station last year, December. The Zulu nation has been accustomed to have great men lead us, as traditional prime minister has done. Men could represent and look up to men of royal blood and lineage. The incumbent, however, is not a member of the royal family. He is not an inkosi or a lord. He is not the head of any tribal authority or structure. No, he is a member of Kwapindangene family, as he had initially claimed. Even the Kwapindangene family has come clean through a press statement in distancing themselves from his questionable lineage. It is the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi who educated us that from the time of King Shaka, King chose a prime minister from his nobles, Amakhosi. King Shaka's prime minister was Ngomane Kamkomboli Mdleje, the head of the Mdleje clan, Mdlejeni. King Tingani had also Undlela Kasompisi, Wakwantuli, from the Tuli clan, Ehlobenzana, Mbongolwane. King Pande had Umasipula, Kamamba, Changase of the Changase clan. His Majesty King Cetshwayo also had Umnyamana Kanqengelele Buthelezi, who continued in that position even during the interregnum after King Cetshwayo had been disposed and exiled. Brought up King Dinizulu at Ekushumayeleni. King Dinizulu reigned only for a few years because he was exiled to St. Helena by the British government after he attacked and conquered the Mandlakazi clan at Kwandunu Hill. In his return, he was shortly implicated in the Zulu uprising known as the Pambata Rebellion. He was arrested and convicted for treason because Inkosi Pambata used the king's Usuthu residence as a sanctuary ukufihla unkosikazi kaPambata for his wife Siyekiwe and his daughter Kholekile. When he was released from the prison by the first Prime Minister of the Union of South Africa, General Louis Botha, of that time, he was, however, exiled again to Utrecht, a farm in Middelburg, wathengisa ngaye, where he eventually passed away from kidney failure. His principal induna was Mankulumane in the Osuthu area. He was, however, not in charge of any clan in his residence in the Osuthu area. King Solomon Kadinizulu had Mathole Buthelezi, Kamkandumba of the Buthelezi clan. After the death of King Solomon in 1933, he continued to work as Prime Minister of the Zulu nation under his younger brother-in-law, Prince Mshieni Kadinizulu, King Solomon's brother. During the interregnum, Mathole Buthelezi passed away in December 1942. The late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi served as the Prime Minister of King Cyprian Nyangayezizwe kaBhekuzulu kaSolomon since 1954 till recently, until he passed away. His son, King Zwelithini kaBhekuzulu, assisted by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi to accede to the throne. King Zwelithini kaBhekuzulu had then continued to use Prince Mangosuthu as his prime minister. In that capacity, he also served His Majesty King Misuzulu kaZwelithini until his passing. Therefore, the incumbent feeble attempt at outlining his so-called lineage last week during his first press conference, did nothing in making his appointment acceptable to any of us who love the crown and who belong to the crown. Let me share with you how this appointment came about. It has become very clear that special cabinet is now in operation. This special cabinet now handles the day-to-day affairs of the crown. This special cabinet consists of Ms. Bongile Mdletshe, wasemtubatuba, Ms. Nomzamo Mieni, wasophongolo, Mr. Jacob Mnisi, a so-called businessman of Mpumalanga, Mr. Ngwenya, who is also a businessman from Upongolo, and Miss Joyce Ndembe, Mrs. Joyce Ndembe, because I believe she's Joyce Numalo, who married to Wantende, who's known for going around parading as the President Jacob Zuma's daughter when she's conducting her private bills. This cabinet made the appointment of the traditional prime minister. I also have information that money allegedly changed hands for this position of the traditional prime minister in Itandi ahead of Isandlwane celebration. Let me be clear, knowing the inner workings of the crown, that the monarchy is under siege. We must make that one clear. The monarch, the Zulu monarchy, the monarch is under siege. While the people of Zululand have no water, the mayor of Zululand district municipality has been spending morning, noon, and night at the King's Palace, Kwankomonye Ondini, recently, ahead of this appointment. The special cabinet has no interest in the king or his wellness or well-being or the Zulu nation interest. Their interest is only money. It's business. Business motivated the appointment of the incumbent to his position. It is also clear that Amakosi is not in support of the new traditional prime minister. It is not only because he himself is not an Inkosi, but also because the incumbent is already going around planning meetings without consulting them as Amakosi of KwaZulu. This is causing havoc within the kingdom. Moreover, I must point to the abuse of the municipal resources. As a child of Zululand, I think it is fair to do so. When I received my letter relieving me from my duties as spokesperson and head of communication and the royal agent and stakeholder relations, which you all have a copy of, it came from the Zululand municipality letterhead email, which was also packaged in their logo. It is therefore clear that the incumbent is now on a mission to abuse the resources of the municipality to further his own personal goal or interest. But by doing so, he is undermining the sovereignty, stability, and the independence and the credibility of the Zulu monarchy. Even this step, it is clear indication that he himself has no respect for Umntwana wakaPhindangene, its legacy, or commitment to protecting it, as he claims. Umntwana was a man that rejected corruption and abuse of state resources. A great injustice has been done through this appointment of a new traditional prime minister, which I do not blame the king because he is not behind this appointment. The king is being used to make these appointments for this shadow government that works behind closed doors in the night. one of which we must reject outright. Serious capture of the Zulu monarchy by dodgy characters is afoot. The Ingoyama Trust, I want to refer us all back to the meetings with Amakosi in Mpangeni, where our late traditional Prime Minister, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, on the 26th of May, 2023, gave us chapter and verse about how the Ingoyama Trust has now been captured by business interests. He said, I quote, I am aware, however, that there is more afoot here than meets the eye. It appears that Mr. Mnisi, the businessman from Mpumalanga, is very involved in all matters of the Zulu nation right now. He has been heard boasting that Inkosi Umzimela will only be chairperson for a short time, after which himself will appoint and become the chairperson. Inkosi Umzimela, he says in his front, there is also a lady by the name of Rejoice Tombenhle Tembe. Ugogo ke lo uhambe claim uthi ugogo ngonyana. Anti nje uqinile umfeshanyana niyambona nani etoro. Which is an associate of Umnisi, right hand man, kahle kahle. I know who man, right hand man kaMnisi, who is almost permanently at the house where the king is staying at present. I cannot mention some of the things she is said to be doing when she is present at the house when His Majesty is leaving. In February, she told the Daily Sun that His Majesty had nominated her to the position of Ingoyama Trust Board, but she opted to decline. Shenga further said the following: when His Majesty and I met on Sunday, on the 14th of May, I mentioned to His Majesty that I had received information that Mr. Mnisi had suggested to the king that he should appoint His Royal Highness Prince Vanana of Gwaminya, the current appointed Prince Ugutitiela Mabutu of Gwaminya Royal House, as his traditional Prime Minister. The king did not react when I told him this. These are words of the late Prime Minister. Prince Vanana and other deputies were since appointed to the influential position within the monarch by the special cabinet. Do you know why every position, these dodgy appointments, all of them, they've got deputies? Because so that when people sober up and they start refusing to take orders, then they use the deputy. If the deputy refuses, then they go to the other one. If the other one refuses, then they order the other one to fire the deputy. So those are kind of games that are played. That's why you're seeing pairing, twinning in appointments. The appointment that is supposed to be held by one person of the Prime Minister has got two appointees. These are all the shadow government work, the special branch cabinet, which is responsible for all these appointments. It is clear the late Prime Minister warned us about these things and all these events. However, it turned out that Inkosi Umzimela lost Mnisi's favor when he refused to cooperate to sign a corrupt deal that will have seen millions transferred from Ingoyama Trust to a mining company at Enyukasela. I remember I even spoke to the king about this issue. I asked His Majesty that, are you aware that the chairperson has been forced to sign a letter that is going to put Ingoyama Trust in debt to and so on. And the king said, no, I didn't authorize that. But I said, but it has been said that you have authorized it. And he said, what has Mnisi done so much that I will do such a thing? So these are the positions, this is several positions that the king that has taken when I engage in him on these kind of things. When I had to release and take a particular position, it is because I had some engagement with the king. Prince Buthelezi even gave us the names of many companies which Mr. Jacob Mnisi, established in his own name with King Misuzulu as a 50-50 partner in it. Those company information can be accessed through the CIPC. Kumanje kune foundation abayirejistile nomdletshe futhi khona noNgwenya kuyona. And Dr. Sish uDJ ga Minister Unzimande. So no one knows what's going on there. But the foundation, maybe the House of Mrs. Zulu Foundation, something of that nature. So, yeah. Those who captured the monarch want the land and the mining right for their own benefit, probably for their own kids. It is abundantly clear to me that the latest announcement of the removal of the chairperson of Ingonyama Trust forms part of the bigger scheme of paving the way for the new traditional prime minister to be at the helm of the trust in a long run. Naloku ukuthi kuqoshwe umuntu ongakazi aba chairperson is also something very strange, you know. Uqoshwe uNtembe, but uNtembe is also part of that cabal. It is just to create an impression ukuthi uNtembe was who appointee of the king. At the same time, while the appointee of the king, Inkosi Umzimela, who sacrificed a lot representing the king in that structure or organization. For now, he wants to destroy the king by making him accountable to politicians. You will ask, what do I mean? This simply means that the king, as chair of the board, will be expected to appear before Parliament to account for funds it received from government. The king will be expected to answer to the Auditor General for continuing findings on internal control deficiencies and irregular financial reporting of Ingonyama Trust. Umanje, there is a missing 41 million in Ingonyama Trust. Now, this means that the king will have to come in and explain where that money went. The whole Zulu king, the whole umnikazi womhlaba, ekuyena esikhuleka kuyena. Clearly, looking at His Majesty's busy schedule, he will find it difficult to ensure compliance with the laws of the country. That's the weakness the current Prime Minister wants to exploit to elevate himself. Let me ask a simple question. How will the king ensure compliance with the following acts that impacts on the work of Ingonyama Trust? The Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act, number 13 of 2005, National Environmental Management Act 107 of 1998, Public Finance Management Act of 1999, Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act, number 3 of 2019, Special Planning and Land Use Management Act, Special Planning and Land Use Management Act, number 16 of 2013, KwaZulu-Natal, Traditional Leadership and Governance Act, number 5 of 2003, Mineral and Petroleum Resource Development Act, number 28 of 2002, Conservation of Agricultural Resources Act, number 43 of 1983, Local Government Municipal Systems Act, number 32 of 2000, National Forest, number 84 of 1998, Local Government. Lo umbuzo mile. His Majesty won't be able to cope with this. Before I conclude, let me state the fact that both Inkosi Umzimela and myself were fired or relieved will tell you that this is not about my character, but an assault on the entire monarchy. It is because we are standing in the way of those who want to loot. Before we were fired, the first victim of this isolation was the late Prime Minister himself, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Second were the King lawyers, Strauss Daly. Then the King of Swaziland, whom His Majesty of Swaziland had assisted the Zulu King a lot on his journey becoming the Zulu King. He has given me all the support that beyond what an uncle would give to his nephew. The royal family, Abantwana, we have heard report Abantwana Bekoshwa, where the king is around, or in residences where the king resides. And one of the last articles I defended were reports where people, Abantwana, were complaining about being cut out and blocked at palaces. Basically, their list were given to security to say, don't let these princesses in, and so on. With the passing of the late Prime Minister, the monarch was left naked. No mechanism were put in place to protect the king and his interest. This has left the entire crown vulnerable to capture and abuse, as we see it now happening. My plea is that we unite to protect our nation, our monarch, and our land. We must stop those who want to loot. We must stop those who want to bring instability to the crown. I know that by speaking out today, I have possibly put myself in great danger. But we dare not fail in protecting the Zulu nation and its prosperity. Umntwana waphinda ngene, the late Prime Minister, dedicated his entire life to this cause. We must now pick up the baton and continue with his work. Let me conclude by saying, I know none of this was His Majesty's doing. He is a victim of his own kindness, loyalty, as he is a great man. He has fallen victims to those who have nollywood attention of his reign. I pledge my loyalty to His Majesty and to serving him as his subject and as the Prince of Ongweni in the name of the greatness of the monarchy. The events that I just shared with you are quite saddening. We are about to see a new era where this kingdom will be captured by terror. So we're going to start seeing people disappearing who are challenging the status quo. It has never been that the Prime Minister, by a position of authority, of leadership, you can never buy yourself into leadership. Such positions are commanded by gods and angels. It's either you are a leader or you are not a leader. So all these things will pay themselves out when you start seeing the poverty, the struggles of Abantu Zulu, the corrupting with integrating the royal family. The royal family is very disorientated, disintegrated. There is no unity in the Zulu royal family. And already we are losing confidence, even from our own government. It is just a matter of time. We make headlines. We meet headlines where we will be told that maybe the KwaZulu government is no longer in a position to support us, simply because these capture are doing more danger. Already, the same cabinet has been able to manipulate the king into not getting along with the premier. It is the first time we have a premier that has been denied a relationship with the Zulu monarch. Now, that should tell you something. Something is not right. We have seen this government also supporting the king so well with his cases, spending millions of money. But that love has never been given back. So, egodlweni, I came across izinto ezidabisayo. Utshani egodlweni, igodlo they've been deserted. Abusekho utshani. I mean, buyakhula akekho ulungisa utshani. Ama-gate afile. Zonke izinto ziyawa, everything is falling apart egodlweni. ONdlunkulu nje yabona nje ngenze example uNdlunkulu wakakhetha walimala waba ne-accident engalweni. uNdlunkulu is forced ukuthi ayishayelele going to the doctor. Kunama-beneficiary list ekuthiwa ayafakwa ey'ngane zabo lama-cabinet members i-secret society. Slowly iy'ngane ade yifundiswa khona iselesdala i-educational commitment yabo, some of them incishisiwe, some of them they've been cut out. Abazukulu bey'ngane, ngikhuluma ngabazukulu bomntwana bethu kanjalo kanjalo. The entire Zulu royal family frustratiwe ibekwe eceleni, they are no longer relevant in the establishment yabo eshelwe bona okhokho babo. This is not the king's doing. When you are a king, you lose power with things, you lose control, you start starting people you send in. But it seems like this shade of government, this cabinet is very, very strong. It seems to have some hold over the king. Because right now, anyone who have ever played any role to assist the king has been victimized, identified and victimized. From the medias who were covering the king when he was coronated, mhlambe wagcina uzodlukisa umuthi esigodlweni ngendlela wasebenza ngayo ukhava indlu lamithi kumibhamu kodwa sinawe lana yabona siphuza amanzi. Inkinga ekhona eyiningi ukuthi this plan is meant to frustrate the king in a long term and then isolate him. So when the king eventually gets isolated, he's going to turn to this government and rely to this private government. Yomnis. Kube yibona-ke abamthengela isinkwa abenzani abasho ukuthi sokufaka ipetrol yenza kanje. Because I can tell you now, it doesn't take a genius ukubona ukuthi where this whole thing is heading. You don't need to be even Form 3 normal or Form 1 or Standard 5. It is very clear that we are heading for disaster. And babhala incwadi baqamba amanga bathi babhalela upremier cancel ama-benefits ami. Mabona ngaholi ngisho isenti kuyimina ofaka upetrol kwi-fleet yemoto zami, kuyimina who helps whatever kune-problem. Lo ngaqala ukwenza lento lena. If I was greedy, I would have taken the position at yokuhola. But I said, how am I going to play the neutral position and serve the crown diligently if ukhona ozongiholela? One day the crown may not agree with the government, and then what? Sekumele keep a statement against government. Mabe wrong. Uzosikhipha kanjani government engiholela? Uzofana nomntwana uThulani ngoba umntwana uThulani was compromised as a spokesperson ngenxa yalokho. Ukuthi ekugcineni bebekwazi ukuthi bembuze ukuthi awusichazele lana Prince Thulani ukuthi kwenze njani kahle. Sekumele njalo keep a statement ayoxolisa ntambama. I could not do that. So abantu abaningi bathi awaholi ngani. Abanye bathi hayi uphuca ama-benefit wonke. Khona bathi hayi uyi-highest paid KwaZulu Natal. Akekho umuntu ohola njengaye. Angiholi ngisho 30 cent. Because umsebenzi onjengalona, even ngoba uyimpi, akekho ungazi ukuthi amasosha aholelwayo abalungile yiwo la dayisanayo empini. You cannot be paid uma ulwa i-genuine war. And yonke le situation, it will never change my position to support His Majesty. Because I felt fine and understand that because you're going to start hating the wrong person. And the king is a victim of this whole thing. Because bonke manje bamsurroundile manje uhlala uphongolo. Shitana nabo kubona kuphela bambonayo. Nalabo abasuke bezile kuthathwa imali zibekwe lapha. Inkosi gets nothing. Even at that position, it won't surprise me. With 5 million, why is Sandwan? I can tell you now, he got nothing, not even 30 cents. And there's a situation in which all these things translate to us as a Zulu nation citizens, as the children of our fathers. Oksala ukuthi konke kuzophela ngathi, and we are the nation esizokhunjulwa as a nation that failed. It is very important for the prosperity of the Zulu nation. Kube stability, and stability needs to be visible in the crown. So if the crown is unstable, you're surely going to see everything disappearing. We can't expect miracles. We can't expect economic growth when unstable as we are. So that is where we are. May I now take questions? Umuntu engaphakamisa nje. Wonke umuntu kulisekile. O Mashowani. No, every time we engage with His Majesty, I will share with him my concerns. You know, remember, Oguti, the cabinet, I think sometime early last year, Uguti iplote uungsusa, and every time drafting what is a press statement, fact signature. Just when I stopped signing the letterhead, my press statement, because I realized Uguti is opening doors for giving Balekeng. These are very organized people. So it is expected, Uguti, abantu with why now? I think the press conference is also clarified because it's important nami ngikwazi ukuthi nami ngazi ukuthi ama reasons oxosha ayebhalwe nama notice ubizwe engagwe kube all those things manje ngazi ukuthi sefemini nje angazi yakuphi uxosha useyinkomeni ulekelela uvolunteer kuthiwa usuxoshiwe ukulusa inkomo ungabuseza lenkomo hlala lapho yabo abanye bathi hayi funa ngibuyisa ama resources engiwatholayo angithola nje isent akukho lokho instead mina mase kuthiwa ngithi ngifuna ama resources zami ngaba ne problem yabo so akukho kuba bitter because it's not like ngithi mina ngifuna ukubuya as a head of communication. I'm just nani benzomangala uma ngacacisi. I think clarity was necessary ukuthi nibe ngoba niyabona izinto zenzeka fanele ukuyibuza ukuthi wakabona ifeme njani leyo exosha abantu about 3 in one day kuma ama signature 12 January ungathi family ama labor laws apho nalelizwe abantu bakaZulu bazofunda nithini yini ezoyenza ukuthi abantu bakaZulu bengaxhashazwa uma thina njengabaphathi bezwe sibhalela incwadi facilitatewa a commoner like uKhansela Thulasizwe. And I want to say it openly. I don't acknowledge Thulasizwe as a prime minister. The Zulus still don't have a prime minister, in as far as I'm concerned. Thulasizwe doesn't meet none of the requirements that have been made by previous prime ministers. As soon as Imali Akipela, whatever he's doing, he's going to find himself in a very, very lonely road. Because you can't buy power. The power is either equal or not equal. You find a fucking knife. Now, where's magic? Nawuvula ishalofu nje ngeke uthi hayi ngizoyimanufacture fork and knife ngoba yikho noma uzoyenza imagic uyifake. Nawuvula ishalofu nje kufanele ibe khona noma yikho. And I can tell you now, akho umuntu lapha. Akho umuntu uhanjiwe. Wakwabona apho umuntu oqashelwe ukuzoxosha nje. Umuntu kuba phela egcineni mina isekhaya any position oba spokesperson is not bigger than my title as the Prince of Fongweni. Bekukulekelela lokho. Kubona is a position kuyi-honor enkulu kubona ngoba phela as a commoner uthola ukuthi azokwenza lento azomanova njengokhansela. Yena uba lama election and I fear for President YFP because uThulasizwe is standing for that position. Uthatha wonke ama position uya consolidate. Umntwana wena ama positions amaningi kodwa akaza wathathe kanje. Umntwana had work hard create ama position over the years. Government wakhe. So mina ngangilindele Prime Minister kube umntwana uNtuthu ukuzuzifa. Esandlwane ngoba abantu abashaya ihlombe lokuqala elincane. Ngathi ngibona ukuthi hawu yabo. Ngacishe ngawa ngabambelela banyuka iBP. And ngathi ngisalinde ukuthi mhlambe kuzothi uDeputy wavele kwangena futhi inkosi nayo futhi bengazi ukuthi bayikhethe kanjani ayingapi uChiliza. Angimazi uChiliza in person hlezi ngimbonela ku TV. Ngathi hawu wabona ukuthi kejekile la. Mina ngangithi mhlambe ungenani endlunkulu sinomntwana kwaMahlobo zalo dadewabo wesizwe. Okay uMahlobo usemncane. There was enough time he can learn a lot from Prime Minister Umntwana uZuzifa. So I was like, this is going to work well. So again, this whole thing of dual appointment will work out. No. Even yena, and where's Umntwana wabizwa lapha eSandlwane? Bathe kwazi umxhawula. Ngiyabuza umntwana ukuthi usuvuma nje umxhawula. Uthi umntwana Makeba, umntwana wangifundisa inhlonipho. U-appointiwe kumele ngimbonge. Kodwa sekushiwo ukuthi akapheli lapho ndini. Kuseni khala amaphoyisa bavuka ngaye kulalwa ngaye. Manje kuthiwa hayi sobulawa ke angazi kunabantu ababulalanayo angazi kasho wacima ke. Futhi niyokwazi ke mase secula amagugu ukuthi sibulawo bani ngoba nje angifuni ukudlala nje ama games. Lama thread laba ukuthi ngoba bazama ukusifaka kwi-era entsha endala le yethera ungakwazi ukuquestion izinto. Nawo ke wakhuluma kunabantu abangifonele ngibahloniphayo. Ethi hayi sicela ucancel i-first release bigger person manje. Sengizoba i-bigger person mina waye bengabanga i-bigger person. Ngikhathi kusayina incwadi. Asibe bonke ama-bigger person angabi mina kuphela uzoba isidudla. I can't be a bigger person. Umbuzo omuhle lo angiyophendula wena wasi spokesperson. Angithi ubonile incwadi ithini? Ithe with immediate effect. Manje angikwazi ukuba spokesperson mangonyama. I'm here as a Prince of Fongweni Royal House and I can only speak for myself. So I'm sure he will figure it out. I'm sure the cabinet will figure it out. Because I'm sure before urisho lama conclusions ukuthi inkosi your account kuma politician, I'm sure they've gone through some consultation, training, preparations. I don't think bavele bavuka nje bengayi prepare ngenkosi. I'm sure somehow he's ready for it, but I can't speak for the king. I spoke for the king when I had the mandate to do so ngoba wayengicilile ukuthi ngimsize, and I was on his cause from the time eqala when everyone, even uThulasizwe wayengamfuni. The reason Thulasizwe engangifuni today is because I was fighting Thulasizwe when he was insulting the king, calling me a useful idiot, saying the words of the king. Namhlanje, Tumani, he's sitting in a different position. Saying Palela letterhead. Yona le amanzi. Abantu Zululand, babulawa i-drought. I'm telling you. Niyothi nginehaba. Elokhu ngisho lento lena uthi i-drought eZululand awekho amanzi. Yonke ibudget yamanzi yokhonzela ihlala. And this lezi sizovela, whether we say I'm Peter or what, bekufuna ngenze njani, mhlawumbe nganike clarity. I could have done that. If you expected that, I would have been happy ukuthi nganike clarity. Well, after all, cutting appointer angibizange imeet. Oh, ngahamba ngobika kwisolezo. Uyabo ukuthi cha sengikhona. Ngathuka abantu. Yazi ukuthuke nje ubone bakuthi ngakithi. Nongamafinyela ukuthuka nje ku Facebook. Kodwa ke you learn ukuthi abantu nase kwi public position bavele becabanga ukuthi shothi umuntu ongenalo imizwa when people can say all these things. In the last 2 years I've buried my mom. 30 days later I buried my own sister, eldest sister. In the first year of COVID I buried my brother. I also carried my own problems, but I continue to serve His Majesty, and I'll always give him my assistance. Should he tell me he expire, because it will come to an end. Lamhlabeni zonke izinto zina my expiry date. But I was not planning to stay forever anyway kule position. I wanted to put structures kahle, stabilize the kingdom, but there were things that I feel like maybe I failed to do, like sort out the relationship between the KZN government and the king. It remained vulnerable. How things are working. So there are many failures that umuntu experience. I didn't have the right team. Team ebengisebenza nayo bisebenza ukuthi ngixosha kanjani. So every day uyasebenza uvika ukuxoshwa, uyasebenza uvika ukuxoshwa. Omunye nje sasina ayisaqhawulana kamnandi eNewcastle emhlanganweni. An hour later ungibhalile incwadi uyangixosha. Ngithi how mfo uyangixosha. Uthi hayi ungayithembi lo ncwadi. Akusemile. Ngithi mina how ngakebe. Kodwa nje wena awukhathali ukungixosha nje, yabo. I even asked him ukuthi awunazo nezincwazi zokungixosha, at least ngitile nazo zonke unyaka wonke ngazi ukuthi ngixoshiwe. Hayi makebe kumnandi kabi ukusebenza nawe. Singane zendoda kodwa siyazwana. Njengamanje ngizothi hayi becelebrate ke bakithi ukuthi hayi uhambile. Nangibonga nje ukuthi ngiphume ngiphile kule position. Maningi ama possibilities ukuthi ngiphume sengiphuma nami sengijahe emotionally. Sengiphuthume emotionally ukuthi bangigqiba. Ama possibilities were very high. You can't work with people abangakufuni. You can't work with people abangakufuni. Nabecela imali bayikuvala. Uyeza bathi bese bebiza inyanga sekuhlanganisa ukuthi akuvala ngawo le mali ekade ecelile. Uvela uxakeke ukuthi Nkosi yami ngoba ngingasebenzi ke ngizothini. So izimo nje esinazo ke bakwethu ukuthi ningabi surprise amaZulu athanda ukuyimanga abuya kulama movie. Athanda uyimangalisa. Asifa bazi ukuthi kuneyinkinga nje. Angifuni ukukhohlisa. Ningalokho imbamba ikhanda ke manje athi ngigeja amagoli. Kungcono ngoba nalento ele ebafana leyade beyohlula kuyona lapha siphelile. Sekungcongane, ungcono. So nje yazini ukuthi kuneyinkinga lezi no stability kwaZulu nithunjiwe ngoba nakuthunjwe inkosi kuthunjwe nina njengesizwe. So ningayibabazisi ke seniyothandaza ke ngoba umthandazo doesn't always change things. Izinto zamabomu umthandazo akwazi ukuyilungisa. Ngiyazi lento yanithina ngase anikwazi ukubuza imibuzo ngendlela inhliziyo zenu ehlumezeke ngayo kunjalo nje yebo ngizazi idatheli mina ziphakamisa zibuze yebo Bhungane mina ngithi angimrecognize ngaba kanjani confidence angithi mina as Prince Africa Zulu ngine privilege uba I'm living under a democracy world so I'm not forced ukuthi mina ngirecognize Thulasizwe Thulasizwe has been recognized by the king and his government le yomnisi but mina ngimrecognize mina my prime minister uZuzifa Prince Zuzifa that's my prime minister whether he's appointed or not and whether Prince Mthokozi is appointed as a deputy or not, those are my prime minister office because that's what we know. Now, I mean, at some point the king told me himself he will appoint Mthokozi. That time, Waifuna Abe deputy prime minister. So I've always known Mthokozi Abe deputy. So if Safi Woolmen were special branch, the special cabinet, government. I could just answer. So much of confidence winter engeko. And yes, because it was anything one. Now me relax when as an expect because you don't get to be normal. I'm a genius school everything sign something. So I don't know. Kodwa ngiyazi ukuthi inkosi bayakwazi ukumanipulate and bayakwazi ukuthi bashama bribe nesiphithi sekufaka ama document kambe bo 17 to sign la sign uyaphuthuma so yahola manje ngoba I know ukuthi abayitshela inkosi ukuthi hey obheka usuluze 1.2 billion lokho ekhona that's delay sabuka la bashama ama into hayi buka nje la 5 billion ngabuswenzile should inkosi vele yabothe yini I'm losing more money with this guy here ngoba hayi ukuthi inkosi inenkinga nami it's not personal and then this win did nani nemitha nibona mina nenkosi ngihlezi kuhleko that is where the whole thing is confusing even that time ngqoshiwe nandideka nanibona mina ngqoshwe ekseni ngapha ntamba amahlezi nenkosi kuyahleka it just makes no sense it's not personal babko No, we've been told, ngabantu ababekhona ukuthi kwafika ikhwama ntathakusa zekuwele uhulumeni lo uyena ophethiswe ayizwe la South Africa sengisho le government ade ngichaza ziningi izinto ezenzakalile angathi ngakho nje ngebhama egoli nje after umnisi usenormally ke nabo ngiyakhumbula so sasisegoli sine yokhuluma indaba zokhanjiswa kwamanzi kufaka amanzi amabhoholi uMinisi uMahlobo deputy minister noCoca-Cola kwase shoot isithombe sobathathu nenkosi nominister ngathi ngibanikeza ifoni yami ngathi ngicela beyisebenzise unikeza uJoyce Len uJoyce washutha abantu wathi ngisakhuluma nominister wathatha ifoni yami wabaleka baya kumnisi wangena kuma location ngathi ngiyafika ifoni yami ebhizi beyisebenza ithi mina kwenze njani ethi hayi siyayibuka nje ngayithatha kwathi nje 5 days later ngiye eGoli ukuthi ngithatha ukushawa umoya bavele kwafika ama-gunmen awu-5 bonke behlomile bavele bangisingela out bathi angiguqe phansi my fear was ukuthi siya wawukhona naye wathathela ama-laptop wayikhulumisa ngihamba naye ngoba sasuke e-airport so ngiyibuza ukuthi ubani wazi ukuthi nje la sengiyabuya uyabuya umqondo location yami should ba they were able to somehow ukudlala ngayo thatha yonke into khonjwa ngeyibhamu and lo wayefuna ukungidubula but lo munye wathi ayi sesithatha impahla eziningi nale mali sikhokhelwe yena miyeke wathi uyaqhubeka wathi lona cishe wajutshula lona akahamba naye wathi ngithe woza sambeni and akazi betholakala wavula icase yazi yavala ama location wathiwa kuphi so this whole thing has become very dangerous but I could not just create a panic to the nation saying khojwe ngebhamu umnikazi wehotela akaze bengicompensate bathi sicela ukukunikeza i-room for one night and your security, and then from tomorrow ukhokhele. Kasho ukuthi fortunately uwallet wami wawula ngomuntu wawubamba kanti wabona ifoni i-iPhone 13 that time ingabi le ngole ngayithenga ngayo, wathi letha la le phone. Emva kalokho wakhohlwa ukuthi bethu uthatha iwallet la ngoba wagcina eyibambile, yabo. So these are the things, and nokufrodwa wencwadi ibhalwe le-side yami, this thing was becoming dangerous. Thanga ngithola information ukuthi kune campaign against uNdlunkulu Mayisela ezayo strong, kune campaign against me, kune campaign against some people close to the king, which I can't mention. That is why phase 1 kusabhalwe incwadi. Now basazama ukuthi behlanganiseke ukuthi izitori ukuthi sombhixa kanjani umntwana, sombhixa kanjani umntwana, yabo. Njengoba besebenzise sinye station nje bathi angazi ngangiroad kwaceza. Uyakhumbula address into amaphoyisa kaceza because amaphoyisa ase instructive yibo labo ukuthi undermine. So what they used to do, nangifika bengitshela ukuthi no mina angivunyelwe ukuze duze kwenkosi. Bese kodwa ngelo vanana ke no Simphiwe bonke bengena up and down. Then you ask yourself ukuthi kwenzakalani? Yabo. So yona situation ke umuntu ngicabanga ukuthi nje uzosala team ezosebenza kahle ukukhulu bambisana. Yabo. But this is in no way an attack on the king. I've seen the king capabilities and I know he's capable for the throne. And I know abantu abaningi bafisa ukuthi mhlambe ngithi hayi no, I'm out. The king was appointed by God and I stand by that. So angikwazi ukuthi mina ngicabanga ukuthi I can dethrone the king. The king has been appointed in heaven, and over time amehlo enkosi azokhula and uzogcina kwazi ukubabona. Sometimes it can take longer, but eventually it will happen. And when the day comes for the king eyes to open, I hope it won't be too late. All these people, there will be history. Fanele uyibuza ukuthi akukhona i-activity eMpumalanga. Why are these people? Why are these people bene interest of destabilizer umbuso wakwaZulu? Imbuzo fanele siyibuze yona one by one. But without promoting tribalism, umuntu oseMpumalanga is so welcome uzosebenza. Nathi you must go to Mpumalanga, kunama-mines lapha siyosebenza. But we can't go there and destabilize activities and government, any government yakhona. You can't do that. Fanele kube nalo respect, and this one of the things engazisho kathi kunama lootings, kunama social cohesion issues. Ngasho ukuthi no. Noma kuthiwa sonke singama South African, but ngeke ufike lena eMpumalanga noma eLimpopo uyobhambela abantu bakhona ufike ucontrol amakhosi akhona. It's not done. Yabo. Fanele sihloniphane. Yes, South Africa yethu sonke kodwa okusalayo asihloniphane. Uma ungakhamlo province ungezi uzo impose ngoba as if amaZulu uthi abahlakaniphile. Yabo. Kanti nje ngabe konke kukahle and we still want ukuthi si-integrate namanye ama-members of other provinces. Ukhona umbuzo nje manje?